Hey everyone, Dalin Malna here. I don't normally go into super topical news, but something really exciting happened that I wanted to talk about. As a lot of you who watch my channel know, I'm kind of a visual novel fan, but not just any visual novels. I've specifically kind of followed the very specific careers of a few people. That being Kotaro Uchikoshi, Kazutaka Kodaka, and though you may not have heard his name as much, Takumi Nakazawa. And I'm sure I butchered all of those, sorry. Even if you haven't heard me talk too much about their names, you will have heard the likes of Never 7, Ever 17, 999, Zero Escape, and DanganRonpa. These are the people who have worked on those games. And they've all come together to form some kind of studio called Tookyo Games, I think. Again, more butchering of the pronunciation. This is just something that's really incredible to me. When I first heard about it, everyone was only mentioning Uchikoshi and Kodaka, the DanganRonpa and Zero Escape guys, respectively. And I was a little bit apprehensive. It also looks like the character designer who worked on DanganRonpa specifically, not even going to try and get that name, well, hang on, Shima Doriru, I'm not even going to try again, but came with, and that made me a little apprehensive, because I'm not just the biggest fan of kind of the DanganRonpa aesthetic, and it looks like that's very much carrying over into this work, so I was a little apprehensive. I was like, is this just going to be like 999, but now extra zany for the DanganRonpa-ness? Because, I mean, if I'm being honest, there's only one piece of DanganRonpa media I've actually really enjoyed, and that was the second game. But when I saw that Nakazawa, the director and scenario writer who helped a lot on, right, Ever 17, Never 7, Remember 11, and as well as his own game, Root Double, was involved as well, I was absolutely sold. Nakazawa and Uchikoshi haven't really worked together since kind of the Infinity series, and those are legendary as I'm going through them. And just seeing that all these guys are working together is absolutely amazing. I'm totally pumped. Obviously, there's some other people around, but I just don't know them as well. There's a composer from DanganRonpa, and a novelist and scenario designer from some works I don't know, actually, but, that's okay. So they've announced 4 separate projects. The first project looks kind of like a DanganRonpa X Zero Escape game, as you might expect. That one's gonna have both Kodaka and Uchikoshi at the helm specifically. So that's kind of what you would expect when you hear of this scenario, of this company. It looks like this is the kind of stereotypical game that you would expect. Key artwork looks very DanganRonpa-y. Not sure how I'm gonna feel about that, but I'm still pretty cautiously optimistic for it at this point. The second one's an anime that seems like kind of a crime, like a crime drama style of thing. Pulp action. I think it's been described as like pulp fiction in the professional. I'm not gonna lie, I couldn't care less about this sort of thing. Between the very DanganRonpa-esque like character designs and just a crime, everyone is the villain. I think the tagline is an anime where everyone is the villain. I just don't care. I'm excited that they're getting an anime, but it's gonna have to take something to win me over. This doesn't appeal to me. But the third project, a game involving a death game by children, is what it's called. That sounds very 999-ish, but, and I guess DanganRonpa as well, but like the art style is crazy different than normal. It's an action-adventure game. Kodaka is going to be the general manager and Uchikoshi's the scenario writer, which is where I think he works best, so I'm pretty excited. There's an illustrator named Take, I think. I don't know what they're from, but I'm really digging this art. It's really unique, and I think I just enjoy it. I'm just going to be honest, I enjoy it more than kind of the DanganRonpa art style, and even though it's very childish, I think like a very dark game with a very childish kind of art style could work really well, actually. And then finally, there's this a collaborative work between this new company, Tookyo, and Spike Chunsoft, described as a cyberpunk dark fantasy. Kodaka apparently started working on this before he left, but is going to continue to kind of work with them. All we really have is this art kind of thing, and I actually really like the art design on this. The city looks really interesting, and if it doesn't get too crazy zany, I think it could be something cool, especially if you kind of have Uchikoshi to ground it a little bit. It's a little terrifying when Uchikoshi is the element grounding things, but the other thing is Nakazawa actually really has a tendency to make the world, these fantastical worlds feel a little bit more believable. I feel like that's something that is really reflective in his work. So if these two kind of have an influence on this, it could be something really great. Because I think one of Kodaka's kind of worst tendencies, like he does a lot of good stuff, but one of his tendencies in writing that brings him down is that he just lets things get too zany kind of for the sake of it, and it stops working. It just kind of gets too out of control and gets kind of dumb, and not like in a fun way. It just kind of gets too out there. But potentially with kind of the grounding elements from Uchikoshi and Nakazawa. Nakazawa especially is really big on world design and making sure everything kind of makes sense within its own logic and that everything's consistent. So with the influence of these, I think they could potentially balance him out, and he could help add a level of creativity that might be kind of missing otherwise. And if they can all work together and mesh well, this could lead to some of the greatest games, like, ever. This is a dream team, honestly. If you asked me in my wildest dreams, like, to create kind of a visual novel studio out of some of, like, the main writers, this would be it. Like, my only complaint is, again, that I'm not just sold on... I don't just love the Danganronpa style designs, but, I mean, they work. A lot of people like them. It's good for marketing. It will be very recognizable, so I can't really fault them on that. And I think it's just a personal taste. The only thing I want to talk about that's potentially kind of a worry for me is that no one has mentioned the AI files. I can't remember the game that Uchikoshi's working on. And he was working on that with Spike Chunsoft, and maybe because it seems like they're having a good relationship with them with the Kodaka game, maybe Uchikoshi will just continue to work on that. Either, like, he'll just do both, he'll be pulling double time or something. But I would hate to see that go down the drain for this, because honestly, the AI files is one of the most exciting things I've seen kind of visual noveldom for a while, even though we've just got some teasers. It looked really interesting, and I would hate to see that get lost in the shuffle of all of this. But even if it is, I'd say this is a net positive overall. Them forming their own studio means they have a lot more creative freedom. It means they can kind of tell the stories they want to tell. They don't have to be as beholden to, just the larger corporations and just kind of the publishers who are going, that won't work. They're going to sink or swim on their own merits. They're going to make a game and it's either going to sell or it won't. Because a lot of times they wanted to make games that people wanted, but the publishers didn't want to make. So that's exciting. It's a lot more kind of appealing to the free market, and this kind of, I'm sure they could do crowdsourcing things if they needed, and they've got the manpower and the name recognition to really pull in that crowdfunding if needed. So I know no one watching this is going to care a flying flip, because I'm the only guy that really loves these games, but I am super excited, and I just wanted to talk about them real quick. So I've put some links to more information if you kind of want to check out the specifics about these things and research who all's involved. But this is a studio that's going to be worth keeping an eye on, because they've got some real manpower here. They've got some real legends all involved here, and it's pretty exciting. So keep an eye out for these guys in the near future. My name is Dalin Malna. God bless.